Night and day are catching hell. People think I'm doing well just because I sing a few calypso. But that is my misery. Calypso don't make money, but most of them don't know that I have my axe to grind, just like any other man, existing in poverty and this giant ghetto land. But I intend to hang on. Tell them for me no dice. I ain't gonna eat lice, I ain't gonna grow old, sitting in the cold, not me. No way, they go have to beat me, they go have to eat me, or the heads go roll. Tell them I say I was born in this land, I go die in this land. Nobody go run me from where me come from. Nobody go run me, lad. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Me mama must yam, me papa must yam, me woman must yam, me pickle must yam. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me, lad. Nobody go run me. Life ain't much for us to choose. Some we win and some we lose, but sometimes life is so confusing. I had a lot of friends one time whom I used to wine and dine and gave them bread when they need it. Now most of them against me, take me, make the enemy, simply because I am not what they all want me to be. And with the political views I can't agree, but tell them for me no dice. I ain't gonna eat lice, I ain't gonna grow old, sitting in the cold, not me algae. No way, they go have to beat me, they go have to eat me, or the heads go roll. Tell them I say I was born in this land, I go die in this land. Nobody go run me from where me come from. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Me mama must yam, me papa must yam, me woman must yam, me pickney must yam. Nobody go run.
Welcome to the Late Night Show. Hope everything is okay. Hope everything is all right. I'm your host, Andrew Dick. Okie dokie, kids. What's happening on St. Martin? A lot is happening, I know. You're here to find out whether it's true or not. What happened to Member of Parliament, independent Member of Parliament, Emmanuel? Was he arrested? Was he not arrested? Was his house searched? Yes, his house was searched. No, he was not arrested, according to the prosecutor office, who did not call his name and said that there is an investigation by the OM, the RST, and the Land Recherche on a former minister. Of course, we put two and two together because all members of the media rushed to the house of MP Emmanuel this morning when we heard the tip, the news that his house was searched by the national detectives early on Wednesday morning. This is what we know. It has to do with bribery. It has to do with falsification of documents, forgery of documents. It has to do with abuse of power when he was Minister of Romi. Of course, if you remember, he was a Minister of Romi during the Irma period, right after Irma, during the Irma, and right before Irma, he was the Minister of Romi under the National Alliance. Of course, now, he's the leader of the Now party. That's why I'm saying now so much times, because now he is in hot water and he is suspected of abuse of power. But they did not arrest him. They just searched his home and other persons they believe are accomplices. We also understand that a former staff member of his cabinet was also, house was also searched today, Wednesday. Okay? Now, as far, you see, I say now again. You should count the amount of times I say now, because I'm going to say it a lot. Because he's the leader of the Now party, and just a couple months before elections. And look at this now. Look what's happening now to him. He's being persecuted. According to him, a statement from the board, or from the MP, or from Michael Granger, from any of those three people. We have the statement. Let me put that up for you so that we can get to do some reading. It's quite lengthy, so let me begin. Emmanuel, I will not permit false narratives, justice system to be weaponized against me, says, and he also says a relative was physically assaulted in the search. So it goes as follows. The Member of Parliament, Christophe Emmanuel, is incensed by yet another deliberate political effort to discredit him, rig an election, and ultimately stifle his voice, which has been in defense of the people of St. Martin, telling them the truth and holding the powers that be accountable. And while these actions against his person are frustrating and disruptive to one's everyday life, his family, physical mistreatment by justice officials during the house search on Wednesday elevated his feelings from frustration to anger. Oh, he's angry now. He characterized Wednesday's events as the most recent attempt to shape and control not just false narratives, but also representatives of the people of St. Martin in the legislative branch. Here we go again. The plot is predictable. We have already seen this film, Emmanuel added. But what movie is that now? Oh, you gotta add that. That was a now again reference. Okay. Anyway, he said that the prosecution office, RST, and the Lance Recherche are mistaken if they believe he will permit them to create and spread false narratives to start his persecution. The MP has stated that he will not obstruct the legal system from carrying out its proper course and cooperate fully, but he will continue to be watchful for the fabrication of stories to support unfounded suspicions. He emphasized that his entire tenure as minister was investigating, and all decisions and actions as the minister were already fully covered. Now, here comes the next search for his tenure as minister. The MP clarified that the alleged suspicions drawn from the search warrant indicate that his action is not new, just an extension or continuation of what started before. The timing appears to be driven by reckless and vindictive remarks made on the floor of Parliament during the last few months by members of the current Council of Ministers. While ministers feel they have the immunity on the floor, MP Emmanuel pointed out that the legal system uses what they say and how they say it in an effort to pick off members of St. Martin one at a time. But just like before, I will stand tall against the storm, the MP said. I think he will stand tall now. Add that. Anyway, the way his relatives, who are minor children, were treated and impacted throughout the search, particularly incensed MP Emmanuel. He related how his adolescent cousin was yanked so hard by the risk by one of the authorities present that she had to be taken to the doctor to be checked for a sprained wrist, while the aggressive nature and the approach of the other officials traumatized his even younger cousin, who is currently going through his FBE exams. We now have to try and get a reprieve of what child from his exams, and their mother, who is beyond angry, has to consider pressing charges for abuse against her girl child. The abuse of power and the over-aggressive nature of these people coming into our homes, not considering our family and children, is infuriating and downright illegal. If there is anything that shook me to my core, is that they don't appreciate the negative residual effects they have on our families with their Gestapo tactics, the MP said. The board of the Now party, in a statement, said that its leader, MP Emmanuel, is fully prepared to fight any battle should it ever come to that. The board said that this is just another example of how the justice system is being weaponized in unprecedented and cunning ways against political opponents to fill an agenda and create a police state rather than maintaining law and order in a democratic country. Justice is not served when it is driven by a political and dubious agenda. Families and children are now becoming victims in this charade. The attack on democracy and our people is clear and has to stop now, the board said. The government had already indicated that their intentions to somehow hit back at the only MP who dares to challenge them on their governing term. They cannot intimidate MP Emmanuel into going along with to get along. They cannot silence the MP with threats and the innuendo. So their next tactic is to imply that there is a new information from an investigation almost 8 years ago. This plays right into the hands of the justice entities whose mission is to go after politicians who have no fear in calling out the flaws in the justice system, beginning with the prosecutorial branches. The board added that it is very ironic and telling the prosecutor's office has not moved on accusations of blatant fraud in government statements that came from a high council of state, but finds the time and resources to enact the new search based on suspicions on an investigation concluded and for which the MP was already prosecuted and exonerated. No one gets away. It seems, and history is repeating itself once again. Now, they didn't say that, but I just added that. Okay, so that is a statement from Member of Parliament and the board of the Now Party. It's a serious situation still, so I'll hold my opinion and comments to myself for now. You see what I did? Anyway, I could do it all day. Anyway, but seriously speaking, the fact that it got physical is what I'm concerned about. These searches, it doesn't happen anywhere like this, especially to members of parliament or to public office holders. I just don't like the fact that the prosecutor or the RST or all these officers would go that far. Yeah, it gets physical. I was arrested before, so I know how it is. Cuff you and they get very physical. But do they need to? Especially if you know that the person is not a violent person, and especially if you're going to do it to a child. Like, come on. Like in Dutch, they say, "Ben je stom of something?" Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? Go to the Netherlands and go and touch your children like that. Don't be coming here and doing that. Let me not get emotional, but I don't like that. That's the only, that's a little bit too far. Like, prosecutor office, especially if the prosecutor came out with a statement and they said the magistrate was there. So that means a judge, instruction judge was there, present. So if you see that happen, you have to pull them up and say, hey, what do you? Stop. What do you? Like, come on. You can't just watch abuse happen. So I hope that they do go and file a complaint against these wonderful Dutch people who hopefully won't come and search my house anytime soon, because it looks like they're going to come after me next if I say something off the cuff. But honestly, let's not get it twisted. If you had reasonable doubt to go and search the place, go and search the place. Don't go and touch nobody's child. Don't go and physically hurt anybody's relative if you are going into a member of parliament house, whose birthday was yesterday, by the way. Happy birthday to him. Happy belated birthday to him, because look what he had to come home to. He was on SOS radio last night until late, and he came home relaxed, and in the wee hours of the morning, boom, house search, any mother. Right there. Boop, boop, boop. Horrible. Anyway, of course, the investigation continues. It's going to float over his head, just like the other MPs and politicians that are under investigation. It's always going to be just right there floating. And you never know what's going to happen because it's floating just before elections. Couple of months before elections, and look what's going to happen to the leader of the Now. Justice has to take its course, so you can't say too much about the investigation itself. There was allegations made against the minister I think it had to do with the Bernard Bridge, the Prince Bernard Bridge. Repairs had to be made, but apparently it wasn't done, or it was partly done and it wasn't finished. That was one allegation. Then they had another allegation of land being given to his staff members before he left as Minister of Romy, or while he was Minister of Romy, he gave out land to his staff members, or a staff member, or his chief of staff, or somebody in his staff. It's like, you get land, everybody get land, St. Martin people get land. You know, remember when he was on that whole trip, we need to take back our country, so I given every St. Martin a piece of land, and he didn't care about the consequences, he was just doing it. And then there was that behavior after Irma, when the Minister of Romy had to do a couple of things out of norms because we was in a disaster mode, so there was no bidding for certain contracts and cleaning and so on. But it was necessary. I don't want to justify, anything that had to go by the book, but it was necessary because, do you remember how Irma basically flattened the hell out of St. Martin? So, are we going to prosecute everybody, or we just picking and choosing because Chris got a big mouth? Only thing I don't like about a press release is that he is making himself look like a martyr. Like, he's making himself look like he is, against the establishment. Chris, you're not against the establishment. You're just a loud complainer. And everybody knows you're a loud complainer. You don't bring no legislation to Parliament. You don't create no initiative laws. So what are you going against? You just complain a lot and call this a bad government every week and in Parliament, and you're rough, but that's it. So I don't think that is a reason that they should silence you. You've always done this, complain. Now you have a party to complain. So anyway, let's see what happens. This story is still developing, and I'll leave it there. Yeah. Before we go and we start the program, I saw an ad in the Daily Herald that I had to share with my viewers today. And there you see it. It's an ex-politician is looking for a companion. And the way that it was written is amazing. I laugh so much because the gall of the politician is what made me laugh. Okay, so he's looking for a companionship, and it goes as follows. It says, I am 67 years old, 6 feet, 85 kilos, dark skin, and male of African descent. Separated with 2 grown kids, living single. I like to walk, swim, gym, and currently taking therapy on my right leg. I am a businessman and an ex-politician, owner of several real estates, have my own car, and living very comfortable. I'm looking for an intimate relationship with a well-shaped Caribbean lady, not fat or sick, and in giving companionship, she must love cooking, housekeeping, and be clean with no husband, boyfriend, or kids. No tattoos, no smoking, no drugs, no HIV negative like myself, and has to be 45 to 55 years old. Yafans or Hindustans, or a black woman who likes outing, dining, movies, and fun. Only serious ladies need to contact me, please. He said, please. All expenses covered. And then he has his email there. Look like we have to wake up Mother Teresa from the dead and make her email this wonderful St. Martin politician. I know who the politician is, but I'm going to leave it alone because I don't want him running around any jockey again. Anyway, only real politics people will understand that joke. Welcome to the Late Night Show. We got to put an ad in the paper and look for a political party who has no convicts or suspected people who are in the justice system. It's going to be fun for the next couple of months. Anyway, welcome to the Late Night Show. Let's begin.
It's time SXM presents a grand fundraising raffle taking place on Sunday, May 28th. The grand fundraising raffle. Get your tickets now for only $10. The first prize is a 55-inch smart TV. Second prize, a hotel weekend stay. Third prize, a Samsung phone. And the fourth prize, a 100 Gilda shopping voucher courtesy of Carrefour. It's going down on Sunday, May 28th. The fundraising raffle. Tickets available for only $10. Proceeds will go towards a back-to-school program. Purchase your tickets at Creative Juices or from any of the members. Call 556-5181 or 523-8272. It's time SXM.
At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport.